Okay.
Have you ridden with Florida's Real Bike Tour Company? Our guest this morning is Joy Hancock, who's the executive director of Bike Florida. So, Joy, I know you've got an event coming up in Brooksville. Why don't you tell us about that event?
Yeah, the event is coming up. It's our 25th anniversary spring tour, and it is from March 28th through April 3rd of this year. And so we are going to be in the towns of Brooksville and Inverness, 3 days in each one. And if you're interested, we're closing our online registration at the end of this week on March 15th. So if you want to sign up, go to bikeflorida.org and we'll have all the info there.
So we want to talk a little bit about what someone would expect on one of your tours. This is a little bit different format than some of your longer tours. You're doing 3 days in 2 different locations. And I know one of the things you talk about in terms of touring Florida is that you kind of get off the beaten path and see areas of the state that are somewhat less populated, less traveled, and some of the things that other people might not see when they ride. So
yeah,
that's what you expect up there.
Brooksville, Hernando County, it's known as the Adventure Coast. So and our goal, yes, is to bring people from all over the country, all over the world, to what is known as the real Florida. So we go to state parks, we bring people on backcountry roads. And there may be a little bit of beach, but that's not really our main focus.
Right.
And so, so in Hernando County, we've got things like Weeki Wachee and the mermaids, and then we go to Inverness and Citrus County, and which has the Withlacoochee Trail. And so we're really featuring these trails as well, but bringing people a little inland to see what all of that is like.
So what is the proportion of people that you'd expect that are not local that would come on a tour such as this?
We usually get about 75% that are from out of state.
From out of state?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow, amazing. All right. So how many people what's your expected attendance for this? Are you going to limit it? Are you closing it out?
No, we usually not limit it, but 600 is about the most that we can handle. And so we're expecting between 500 and 600. Okay. We're definitely on gear for 500, and we never know who's going to come and show up on site.
Right. So tell the person who's never been to one of your tours what to expect. Let's say they want to go to either the Brooksville portion for 3 days or the Inverness portion, or maybe they want to do both. What would they expect?
Well, they would expect to show up to a crazy campsite wherever we choose. Usually it's a kind of downtown or close to downtown. And they would bring their bicycles and bring their tent if they want to camp. And we do routes of different lengths each day. So we'll do typically a short, medium, and long ride. Usually we have a century in there somewhere. But we've got at the campsite, we'll have food trucks and entertainment, and we've got this massive shower truck and all sorts of fun things going on there. And then the routes are fully supported. We have we have food stations, and we also have law enforcement, and we have mechanics going up and down the route just to make sure everybody's safe and taken care of.
Wow. So what is the proportion of people that camp versus people who really would rather stay in a hotel?
We have about 20% of people that stay in hotels. And we actually have a company that we work with that will transport you to and from the hotel in the morning and in the evening, and they'll also set up hotel arrangements for you.
And I guess the advantage of this arrangement is you're doing kind of out and back, so you start and stop from the same location, right?
Yes, we do. We try to do loops if at all possible. So I think the majority of our rides this year are loops. And they're different every day.
And I know Hernando County has some hills.
Yes. Yeah, it's a lot of people when they come to Florida to ride think it's just going to be flat. But when you go inland, it's a little bit different. And Hernando County definitely has some rollers.
Hey, Susan. Oh, yeah, Susan's signing in saying she tried to ride today, but way too windy. Yeah, hopefully if you want to put up with that for 3 days when you're doing your event. So I know that in Hernando County, they have a place called Tom Barn Park. That's
Yes,
in Brooksville.
and that is where we will be camping. It's kind of a weird thing. It's also a disc golf course, and where we're camping is around this old quarry building that was used a long time ago for trains. And but it's a huge park and it's beautiful, and yeah, it's going to be a great campsite.
And you and I talked previously and kind of thinking about what we're going to do today. And I know you pointed out that people from out of state, this is a really attractive destination because Florida is probably one of the warmest places in the lower 48 in March and April.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And if any of you are aware of the weather elsewhere, right now, definitely Florida is the warmest place to be. So we get there are lots of cross state rides or multi-day rides around the country, and our ride is considered the warm up ride that people come to they get their bikes out of the garage and dust them off and come and ride with us.
Yeah, super. Um, so talk a little bit about, yeah, Sue has a question as to whether travel trailers are allowed.
Yes, they are allowed. We have a special parking area for RVs and travel trailers, so you can absolutely bring them.
So what'll happen is everyone will set up in Brooksville. If you go to the 6-day event, they'll all set up
Yeah.
in Brooksville.
Yep.
And what happens? How are they going to get from Brooksville to Inverness? I know it's only probably what 25 or 30 miles apart.
Yeah. The you will you'll drive to the vast majority will drive to the next spot. And the advantage of that is that you will have access to your car to go around and check things out if you want to. There is an option to ride from one site to the other on the Withlacoochee Trail, but then you have the issue of transporting your luggage. There is a service that we provide for a bit extra, where there's a company that will transport your luggage from Brooksville to Inverness.
Okay. For those of you who have not been on the Withlacoochee Trail, it is really a gem.
Yes.
Has real fixed bathrooms periodically. It's got water periodically. And honestly, it's not as important right now, but as you get into the year, if you go out there, in the morning before noon or the afternoon, it's shaded. 90% of the way is shaded. It's all
Yes.
canopy.
Yep.
It's an amazing place to ride.
And what's interesting, Jim, is when we set up this route, we specifically could not go on the Withlacoochee on a Saturday because there are so many people that use it on this day that we had to go during a weekday, which I actually think is pretty cool.
Pretty amazing. Yeah. You go out there on a Saturday, you'll see a lot of riders.
Oh, yeah.
And you have an opportunity, honestly, on the Withlacoochee to see a lot of the stuff. I'm born in Florida, so I've seen, a lot of wildlife in my time, but you'll see almost anything. It's safe.
Yeah.
But you'll see almost anything near or sometimes running across a trail well ahead of you. It's
absolutely
an interesting place to ride.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So if I'm coming up there and I'm going to camp, let's say, so how much of the food will you prepare or provide, and how much am I going to be doing on my own for the usual meals?
Yeah, so there's an optional breakfast plan you can do. You can either do it a la carte, or you can purchase a whole week or just a 3-day meal plan. And we have options of like just a cold breakfast if you just want to grab some bagels and some coffee and go, or if you want a full hot breakfast, we've got that too. And then in the evenings or afternoons, evenings, we'll have food trucks on site that you can purchase food from. We sell some snacks at our hospitality tent, but other than that, you are on your own, which again is the benefit of having your car with you, because you can go and see those, get to places to eat.
And talk about what I know you have activities involved in the evening. Give us an idea of what that would be.
Okay, we've got all sorts of fun things. Because it's our 25th anniversary, we are going to have one evening devoted to that. And after the rider meeting and entertainment, we are going to have a reception where we'll be looking at old scrapbooks and reminiscing about the last 25 years. Probably the most anticipated thing at our spring tour is the talent show. And we have had everything from original songs to belly dancing, to comedic acts and tap dancing, clog dancing, all sorts of crazy stuff. So anything and everything goes for the talent show, and it is a hotly, people really, really, really compete for this. So that's going to be on the 31st, our last night that we're in Brooksville. And in Inverness, our last night of the whole event, we are taking everyone out to a resort restaurant called The Cove, and they are providing a barbecue dinner. You need to pay for it, but there's going to be barbecue out there, beer, drinks. There's going to be a live band, and there is going to be a dunk tank. So this is a new development. So if you want to get the Bike Florida staff, take some revenge. And yeah, so we'll be doing some dunk tank.
Dave
and
Lancaster signing in saying, "Never fear, the bike sag will be there."
Yes, Dave is one of my friends. Absolutely love Dave, and he does sag support on almost every single ride of ours. And he will. I can't think of a better mechanic to have out there for you.
Awesome, thank you. He also said something about bowl music as well. You know what he means?
I don't know what he means by bowl music. Yes. He's talking about our talent show. There was a guy who actually won the whole thing. He did this thing called bowl singing. It was very strange, and I can't really describe it. You just have to see it.
Okay. Inside information.
Yeah.
So, what does it cost to go on the 6-day, and what do you do if you want to do segments like the 3-day, one or the other?
So if you sign up online, which online registration closes on the 15th, then it's $450 for the full week, and I believe $225 for the half week. Okay. If you wait to get on site, though, because after online registration closes, it'll be closed. But when the ride starts, you can come on site and you can still sign up, but it is more expensive. So okay. I think the week long goes from $450 to $500. So if you want to save a bit of money, it definitely is good for you to sign up by the 15th.
We'll make sure everybody gets that in. So is there anything else you want to add about the 6-day event that's coming up at the end of this month?
Well, one of the big things that it really is important to us is our economic impact whenever we are during these tours. So we have tons of fun. We are facilitating all sorts of fun at our campsite. But one of our main goals is to bring in as many local businesses as possible. So all our caterers, all of our food trucks, those are local businesses. And we also really want our participants to go out and spend money in the town, go to the shops, go to the restaurants. And because our goal is really to have a massive economic impact to improve those communities' economic health.
What are the demographics of most of the people that are involved in this type of event through you?
Well, people are typically surprised because you would think that it's all like younger people, but our median age is 64. So okay. Most of our participants are baby boomers, and it's almost an even split between men and women.
Okay. And what is the couples and singles thing? I mean, is it a couples event, or is there, if I'm a single person, would I feel comfortable up there?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you would, it doesn't matter, couple or no couple, you'll make a gajillion friends while you're there. And there have actually been quite a few people that have met on one of these tours and then gotten married later. So
I knew that was coming.
Yeah.
I know that a lot of people that live up north really do look forward. They do this and they do the bike safari, which is the following week up at Lake City.
Yep. Yeah.
Right. So Joy, let's switch gears a minute. So there's one other event that you do that I was not familiar with, which is your small group tour. Why don't you talk about that and what the plans are for this year? And it's a totally different environment than what you just described, because this is a luxury tour, small, limited number of people.
Yeah, our small group tours are, or you could call them luxury tours. Those are end to end, all inclusive, maximum of 20 people. The mileage is the whole point is really to just have fun and have a vacation. So there is some bike riding thrown in, but you ride as little or as much as you want to. But most of our routes are short, say 30 to 50 miles, and some days it may even be just 20. And we have a lot of different abilities come on these rides. So we've had a few people who have just started riding a bike come on these rides. So you don't have to be a mileage junkie or very experienced, because we'll take care of you. And we had planned, actually, and I didn't tell you this earlier, Jim. We had planned to have our next small group tour in the what we call the Forgotten Coast area, so Apalachicola, Port St. Joe, which was going to be in November, but and we had to cancel it last year because of the hurricane. But we've been talking with those communities and those places that we work with out there, and they are still, unfortunately, not open for business. So we are looking at some other ideas for a small group tour that we can do in November. But it will be sometime in November, and we will let everyone know as soon as we've got that figured out.
Okay, so I know this is more expensive. What's the cost for this?
It's about $2,500 is what it is. But the thing is that when you go on one of these, you don't have to worry about anything. Like dinner, breakfast, lunch, and dinner are well, breakfast and dinner especially are always at nice restaurants. And for lunch, we usually do like a picnic lunch somewhere about midway through the ride. And yeah, so I mean, all you'd have to do is, there's a daily happy hour. So at about 4 o'clock every day, we've got free wine and beer. So and it's if you like a more intimate experience with while you're riding, it's the perfect thing to do. And you don't have to be in a couple. Couples do come, but singles come as well. And it really is. It's a really fun time.
So this is a different group as well. This is more Floridians than out of state people,
yes,
correct?
Yeah, it's the majority of that come on these rides are Floridians, which always surprises us. But yeah, that's the majority.
We were talking the other day about you're starting to see e-bikes show up in some of these events, and I think that you had someone that came on this event last year with an e-bike and for the first time, right?
Yeah, actually, my mom came on one of our small group tours, and there was another lady, and my mom had just had knee surgery, and this other woman was just a beginner, so they were very anxious about riding on their own bicycles. So yeah, they rented e-bikes, and they were like beach cruiser e-bikes, and they both had so much fun, and they were able to, they kept up with the group, and because I think they were very apprehensive about that. But another thing with which I forgot to mention about our small group tours is we do have ride leaders who go out. So there's a staff person who will be riding a little bit faster. So the faster group can, and when I say fast, I mean we're doing maybe 15 miles an hour. And then there will be the slower group, and they're probably going about 10. So you can go at whatever pace you want, and know that there will be someone there taking care of you.
And I don't know if you mentioned it or not, this is really considered more of a luxury. I mean, you're staying at nice places and
you're staying at nice hotels, and we transport all your luggage. When you go to a new hotel, we actually put your luggage in your room for you. So it really is like it's a very, very nice experience. And the staff have just as much fun as the riders, but and we usually have about I would say a 2-to-1 ratio of participant per staff person, either 2 or 3-to-1. Yeah.
Well, it's like taking a cruise.
It is. It's like a cruise, but on a bicycle. It's exactly like that. And more fun.
Hey, Jerry Musel just checked in. Hey, Jerry, just glad to see you join us today. So is there anything else, Joy, you want to add about the small group tour that's I know we'll have to look for details as they develop.
Yeah,
We're
just
going
look
to
for
have.
details, and I can guarantee that the one that we'll be putting together will be great, and we've got a really cool idea and concept put together, but I don't want to put the cart before the horse, so I'll hold off on making that announcement until we're definitely a go on that.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll do a follow-up visit with you one day and talk about that for the fall.
Yeah, that would be great.
Let me switch gears for a minute here. I just hope you're enjoying the program. I wanted to relate to you a little something that occurred this week. We have a lot of people who call our office who are not really ready to make a decision about whether they need a lawyer, whether they should have a lawyer. They have a lot of questions. Some people aren't going to pick up the phone immediately after a bike crash or any type of an injury and just call a lawyer immediately. But I had a conversation with someone who was inquiring, and they were really trying to make a decision about what to do. Even people with serious injuries sometimes will, kind of think about what to do first. But it's interesting. The teaching point I want to tell you is that this person had been contacted repeatedly by a claims adjuster, and the adjuster was just calling, not announcing who they were, not announcing who they worked for, and they were working for the driver who caused the crash. The person they were talking to had suffered a concussion, really wasn't thinking clearly. The spouse was trying to discourage this person from talking on the phone with the adjuster, but the adjuster would just call at random times and say, "Hey, it's Tom, how are you doing today?" I just point that out because, it's not unusual for claims adjusters to go to lengths to try to get information that might help them minimize the claim by looking for things that people say today that upon reflection probably didn't truly reflect what they were feeling or experiencing at the time. The advantage of having a lawyer involved is that as soon as the lawyer's letter of representation gets to that claim adjuster, they can no longer call you. So it's a great relief to a lot of people to know that they can be relieved of that burden just by, they can retain a lawyer, they're going to be represented and not have any further calls from the adjuster. So if you know somebody that's had this experience, somebody that's had a crash, has a question, they've been in a car accident, they've been in a bike crash, just call. We're a phone call away. We got a passion for representing cyclists and helping them in any situation. So anytime we can help you, we're here to do that. So Joy, I want to switch gears with you here a little bit. Tell me a little bit about you and how long you've been with Bike Florida and kind of the mission of Bike Florida.
Yeah, so I have been with Bike Florida since 2014. So prior to that, I was working for a similar organization in Oklahoma, which is where I'm from. So I believe it was 2016, I went from working solely with the tours to being the executive director. And we have recently gone through a major strategic plan. And so our vision at Bike Florida is of Florida as the premier cycling experience. And so our first mission relating to that is to help Florida communities improve their economic health, bicycle infrastructure, and safety through bicycle tourism. And the concept behind that is more and more Florida communities are starting to drink the Kool-Aid about bicycle tourism, especially in regards to the coast-to-coast trail connector and the development of trails, because and I know there's a big debate between cyclists about road versus trails, and I'm about both, but when you get younger kids, families, they're definitely going to be on trails rather than on roads. And now that when this trail will be completed, there will be an opportunity for someone to ride from St. Petersburg all the way to Titusville, and they can stay in hotels on the way. And I live near Dunedin, and there's actually a Holiday Inn that just backs straight up onto the Pinellas Trail. And so a lot of the towns and our host communities that we reach out to, they are all about us coming because they know that we will have this major economic impact. And so these towns then will be pushing their city councils, their county, their representatives to give them more funding to be able to build safer and more enjoyable facilities for cyclists. So it's kind of a nice thing, the tourists benefit and the towns benefit, and happiness for everyone.
Yeah. So the, I guess the kind of the gold standard so far, from my knowledge, has been Dunedin and
Yes.
Winter Garden,
Mm-hmm.
Titusville, right?
Titusville. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's and Inverness as well. I think I
That's
believe
correct.
has just gotten the trail town designation.
Right. So you're talking primarily about the Coast to Coast Connector, which goes from St. Petersburg to Titusville, and a large portion of that is going to be completed next year. There's still going to be some gaps. It'll be a couple of years before it's
Yep.
done, but that's going to be over 250 miles, I think.
Yep.
But that involves there's a lot of other trail construction going on. I mean, I think that
Mm-hmm.
the master plan is for us to have 2,000 miles of
Yeah.
trail in the next 10 or 15 years. It's going to be
It's
unbelievable.
crazy. A couple weeks ago, I was at the St. John's River to Sea Loop trail stakeholders workshop, and it was amazing. But that trail has, I believe, most of that trail has been completed. And any native Floridians, if you want to go out there, it's up in the Palatka, Hastings, up all around that area. It's a gorgeous trail. We have based many of our tours around there, and you get to see some great places and you get to ride along the A1A. So I cannot recommend that enough.
You and I were talking the other day about, and you mentioned Key West. Now, what were you
Yes.
referring about Key West while you were watching it?
Yeah. So a few years ago, we gave them a grant to develop a bicycling master plan. And we are definitely keeping an eye on them because they've got this plan to just really transform the town. And we're actually hoping to put on a tour there or a small group tour there in the future. But their slogan or their program is called "Lose the Keys, Find Key West." And basically, they've got a place where you can just leave your car when you come in, and you just take the bus into town. There's free transit, and you can have all the fun you want without having to worry about a car.
That's
So, and
amazing.
it's been a very successful program.
That's amazing. Um,
Yeah.
so you and I didn't talk about this. There's two major bicycle organizations in Florida, which would be the Florida Bicycle Association and the Bike Florida, but they don't have the same mission. They don't do the same things. You don't have memberships. You don't have people that join
Right.
you for annual memberships like the FBA does.
Right.
But the two are connected in an unusual way because of the iBike tag program, right? So
Yes.
one of the ways that Bike Florida is funded and the Florida Bicycle Association is funded is through the tag program, right?
Yes. And so we kind of consider ourselves sister organizations. And yeah, and so the FBA does more grassroots work with individual clubs and advocacy. And yeah, we do the tourist side to bring in, as we've talked about before, more of Florida's communities to get on board. And the Share the Road license plate is the perfect way for you to show off that you support cycling. And then it's also a way to actually support cycling with a donation. And so it's a specialty license plate. It is not that expensive to get. And if you go to sharetheroad.org, you can find out all that there is about how to get the plate. But it is a very important part of us being able to keep the doors open.
Right. And for both organizations, quite frankly, because
Yes.
you basically share the fees.
Yes.
But so what's the other way that you actually make money then? You have the tag, and then how else are you
Yeah.
supported?
Well, we one of our things is we try to make our events and tours as inexpensive as possible. So if you would think, for example, that a luxury tour at $2,500 is expensive, but if you look at other similar touring companies, they're more like 3,500, 5,000. So as a nonprofit, we do whatever we can to minimize the expense for the participant. However, we are dependent on participant fees, and we do actually have some partners that we've been working with. Alert Today Florida has been a huge help, and we're starting to work with other statewide organizations. But really, the tag is the thing that enables us to be able to put on these tours at such a low cost. And at our organization, we only have 2 full-time employees, and we depend on lots of volunteers. So it's and I believe that at the FBA is very similar, and so it's a easy way, an easy way to the plate is a very easy way to support both organizations, as well as show that you support safe cycling in Florida.
Yeah, I think it's something that's very important to both organizations. And I think, every time, I have the tag on my car, every place you go, everybody, it just reminds people that cyclists are on the
Yes,
road. I think it's an important message for us all to be spreading.
absolutely.
Yeah. You've got a unique
Yeah.
situation because your husband was a professional cyclist.
Yeah, professional triathlete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's got to be quite of a unique occupation.
Yes, it was. A lot of a lot of time for training, and also a lot of travel with bicycles. So,
Yeah.
which that's not fun, but yeah, I mean, and obviously, with all the training, a lot of time on roads.
Right. One of the things you mentioned just a few minutes ago was there's people moving to trails. If you're,
Hmm.
the number of tragedies we've had in Florida this last year,
Yeah.
if you look at the conversations that are going on online after a tragedy like that occurs, like any of them have been, more and more
Yeah.
people are opting for, I'm going to be riding gravel, I'm going to be riding trails. I mean, I think that these events sometimes really alert us that there's other opportunities than being on the road. I mean, I tend to ride on the road 90% of the time myself.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I think that
Yeah.
the opportunity to have meaningful riding opportunities in Florida is just increasing every day that goes by.
Yeah.
You can have serious, safe, fun, fast riding, not on
Yeah.
the road.
But Jim, like you, both myself and my husband, we are primarily road riders, and I think that I think one of the problems some people have with trails is that they think, well, cyclists should just stay on the trails, but we are still a vehicle that has every right to be on the road as a car. And
Right.
so I don't think we should. Well, yeah, the trails are crucial in so many ways, but also, keeping better education and laws for cyclists and for motorists are also key in improving the state of cycling in Florida.
So, Joy, is there anything else you want to add to our listeners today about Bike Florida or your coming events?
No, just to go to our website and you can sign up for our newsletter. And we're also on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, all those things. So yeah, we would love to hear from you. And if you've got any questions, you can email us at info@bikeflorida.org and we'll get back to you. But yeah, come and check out our ride in Brooksville and Inverness. And if you don't sign up ahead of time, you can just come on site and we would love to see you.
All right, terrific. Joy, you've been a great guest. I appreciate
Thank
you.
you. Yeah, well,
Appreciate
thank
the
you,
work that
Jim.
you
This is
do for
great.
cycling in Florida.
And you too.
Thank you very much. All
Okay.
right, take care. Have a great day.
You too.